right, Little Warrior Churcher, it's time for another daily Bible reading. It is November the 18th, and I am so happy that you're here. Let's go to Lord in prayer. Dear Lord, thank you for today. May we go on to this day and tackle the day and do what you want us to do. Help us understand what we're about to read as well. And we pray. Amen. Today we're going to be still continuing the book of Ecclesiastes, one of my favorite books. It is, a lot of people think it's pessimistic. I see it completely different, and I think it was written to be completely different, written to be bravely honest about what life can give you. Chapter 7, a good name is better than fine perfume, and the day of death better than the day of one's birth. It is better to go to the house of mourning than to go to the house of feasting. For that is the end of all men, and the living should take this to heart. Sorrow is better than laughter, for by sadness of the face of the heart is made. The heart of the wise is in the house of mourning, but the heart of fools is in the house of mirth. It is better to hear the rebuke of the wise than for a man to hear the song of fools. For as the crackling of thorns under the pot, so is the laughter of the fool. This is also vanity. Surely exhortation makes the wise man foolish, and the bribe destroys the understanding. Better is the end of a thing than its beginning. I work in a hospital, and people just come in with drug addiction all the time, and I just wanted to say, what did you expect would happen? Obviously, I just can't do that. It's kind of rude. But I just wanted to say, you've done drugs all your life. Now you're in the hospital. Your kidneys are failing you. What did you think was going to happen? Solomon is trying to tell us that the place of mourning, the place of sadness, is where you gain wisdom, because that's where true life can sometimes be, and most of the time it is. If you just do what's pleasurable all the time, you're going to end up like the patients that I have who are dying from drug overdose or just doing drugs all their life. You've been chasing after pleasure all your life, and now it's finally caught up to you. The patient in spirit is better than the proud in spirit. Don't be hasty in your spirit to be angry, for anger rests in the bosom of fools. It is better to be patient, and I think Solomon knows that more than anybody, because Solomon was the only king that I know of so far that had no wars, and he was very political. He married wives, not for romance, but for political gain sometimes. And that's not to say that that's a good thing. In fact, it was at his downfall that he did such thing. But he was patient. I'm sure that there was other territories that came over to Solomon and said, hey, we're gonna kill you and take your land. And he said, well, let's talk about this first. And he convinced them to do otherwise. So let's keep on going. Don't say, where were the former days better than these? For you do not ask wisely about this. Wisdom is as good as an inheritance. Yes, it is more excellent for those who see the sun. For wisdom is a defense, even as money is a defense. But the excellency of knowledge is that wisdom preserves the life of him who has it. So he is saying that wisdom is definitely better than being a fool. So 13, consider the work of God, for who can make that straight which has been made crooked? In the day of prosperity be joyful, and in the day of adversary consider, yes, God has made the one side by side with the other, to the end that man should not find out anything after him. All this I have seen in my days of vanity. There is a righteous man who perishes in his righteousness, and there is a wicked man who lives long in his evil doing. I think there's a lot of people, including myself back then. I don't think this at all anymore, but a lot of people don't believe in God because of this. You see a righteous man who perishes in his righteousness. He does what's right, but he keeps on being put down by the world. And then there's a wicked man who just does whatever he wants. Don't be overly righteous, neither make yourself overly wise. Why should you destroy yourself? Solomon is writing this book as far as man's wisdom. He's not looking for the outside wisdom such as God, which is interesting since God appeared to him twice. But he's not looking to God to give him wisdom. In fact, he's looking for the world to give him wisdom. So when he says this, keep in mind that he is not looking at God for wisdom. He's looking at himself for wisdom. And that was ultimately his downfall, looking at his wisdom rather than God's. Why should you die before your time? It is good that you should take hold of this. Yes, also don't withdraw your hand from that, for he who fears God will come out of them all. Wisdom is a strength to the wise man, more than 10 rulers who are in a city. Surely there is not a righteous man on earth who does good and doesn't sin. Even Solomon himself noticed this. Surely there's not a righteous man on earth who does good and doesn't sin. And this is what Jesus said as well. Also, don't take heed to all words that are spoken, lest you hear your servant curse you. For often your own heart knows that you yourself have likewise cursed others. All this I have proved in wisdom. I said, I will be wise. But it was far from me. That which is far off and exceedingly deep. Who can find it out? I turned around and my heart sought to know and to search out and to seek wisdom and the schemes of things and to know that wickedness is stupidity and that foolishness is madness. God gave Solomon a heart and a mind for wisdom. And he said, no one will be like you and nobody after you will ever be like you. So he was the wisest man in the world. And yet he is saying here, for I have proved in wisdom, I said, I will be wise, but it was far from me. There's things that are just so deep. Even Solomon is admitting to himself that he has trouble understanding them or can't. So how can we? 26, I find more bitter than death the woman whose heart is snares and traps, whose hands are changed. Whoever pleases God shall escape from her, but the sinner will be ensnared by her. Why is all of a sudden he putting this in here? Do you think that he has personal experience? I think so. A man with 700 wives, 300 concubines? I think so. And those are just the ones that they mention. I can't even imagine the ones that, one night stands, what have you. So let's keep on going. 27, behold, I have found this, says the preacher to one another, to find an explanation which my soul still seeks, but I have not found. I have found one man among 1,000, but I have not found a woman among all those. Behold, I have only found this, that God made mankind upright, but they search for many inventions. Chapter 8. Who is like the wise man, and who knows the interpretation of a thing? A man's wisdom makes his face shine, and the hardness of his face is changed. I say, keep the king's command because of the oath of God, but don't be hasty to go out of his presence. Don't persist in an evil thing, for he does whatever pleases him. For the king's word is supreme. Who can say to him, what are you doing? Whoever keeps the commandment shall not come to harm, and his wise heart will know the time and procedure. For there is a time and procedure for every purpose, although the misery of man is heavy on him. For he doesn't know that which will be. Who can tell him how it will be? There is no man who has power over the spirit to contain the spirit. Neither does he have power over the day of death. There is no discharge in war, neither shall wickedness deliver those who practice it. That is incredibly deep. Verse 9, all this I have seen and applied my mind to every work that is done under the sun. There is a time in which one man has power over another to his hurt. So I saw the wicked buried. Indeed, they came also from holiness. They went and were forgotten in the city where they did this. This is also vanity, because sentence against an evil work is not executed speedily. Therefore the heart of the sons of men is fully set on them to do evil. Though a sinner commits crimes 100 times and lives long, yet surely I know that it will be better with those who fear God, who are reverent before him. But it shall not be well with the wicked, neither shall he lengthen days like a shadow, because he doesn't fear God. Solomon is speaking definitely from experience. He does not even think of God. He relies on his own wisdom because God gave him wisdom, but he turns his back and relies on his own wisdom, and he starts being tolerant of the things that are around him. He starts being tolerant of his wives worshiping other gods, and they start doing wicked things because of that, because most of the idol gods were, it was wicked. Prostitution, it was, they would have, in that prostitution, they would have babies. Then after that baby was born, they would sacrifice the baby. Solomon led a whole bunch of wickedness into Jerusalem that he is seeing firsthand. I would go so far as saying he participated in this. Does not say that, but it does say that Solomon did evil things in the sight of the Lord. I would say that he probably participated in these things. And now at the end of his life, he is regretting those things that he has done, and is saying, please be reverent before God and show him fear from the things that you do. Verse 14, there is a vanity which is done on earth, that there are righteous men to whom it happens according to the work of the wicked. Again, there is a wicked man to whom it happens according to the work of the righteous. I said that this is also in vanity, that I commend mirth, because a man has no better thing under the sun than to eat, to drink, and to be joyful. For that will accompany him in his labor all the days of his life, which God has given him under the sun. This man had riches aplenty. He had wives and concubines aplenty. And he's saying life is vanity. It makes no sense. You're literally chasing after bubbles that pop. Then I committed mirth, because a man has no better thing under the sun to eat, to drink, and to be joyful. Eat, drink, be with your family, and laugh. That is the purpose for life, according to Solomon. When I applied my heart to know wisdom and to see the business that is done on the earth, even though my eyes see no sleep day or night, then I saw all the work of God, that man can't find out the work that is done under the sun, because however much a man labors to seek it out, yet he won't find it. Yes, even though a wise man thinks he can comprehend it, he won't be able to find it. Chapter 9, for all this I laid to my heart, even to explore all this, that the righteous and the wise and their works are in the hand of God, whether it is love or hated. Man doesn't know it. All is before them. All things come alike to all. There is one event to the righteous and to the wicked, to the good, to the clean, to the unclean, to him who sacrifices, and to him who doesn't sacrifice. As it is the good, so is the sinner. He who takes an oath, as he who fears an oath. This is an evil in all that is done under the sun, that there is one event to all. Yes, also the heart of the sons of men is full of evil and madness in their heart while they live, and after that they go to the dead. For to him who is joined with all the living there is hope. For a living dog is better than a dead lion. For the living know that they will die, but the dead know nothing. But the dead don't know anything. Neither do they have any more a reward, for their memory is forgotten. Also their love, their hatred, and their envy has perished long ago. Neither do they any longer have a portion forever in anything that is done under the sun. Solomon is preoccupied with his own death. He's afraid of death. You can see it in the verses. He's absolutely afraid of dying. More importantly, he's afraid of working so hard for the things in this life and leaving it to some fool. That is what he's afraid of. Verse 7, go your way, eat your bread with joy, and drink your wine with a merry heart, for God has already accepted your works. Let your garments be always white, and don't let your head lack oil. Now, what is this saying? Let your garments also be white. Now, this doesn't say pure. Let your garments be white. So when they were happy, when they were joyful, they would wear white. when they went to a party, kind of deal. So they would wear white. So what he's saying here is, let your garments be white, is always be joyful, and don't let your head lack oil. They would go to a party and then they would put oil on people's heads as a sign of, gesturing, I hope you well, or I'm glad you're happy, hope your family's okay. Something weird to us, but this is something that they would do back then. I think it's pretty cool. So verse 9, live joyfully with wife whom you love all the days of your life of vanity, which has been given you under the sun, all your days of vanity. that is your portion in life. And that's just funny how he words that. All your days of complete nothingness, of complete emptiness, that is your portion in life. That's pretty much how he worded it. And in your labor in which you labor under the sun, whatever your hands find to do, do it with your might. For that there is no work, nor plan, nor knowledge, nor wisdom in Sheol, where you are going. Sheol is like the holding place for hell. Which a lot of people, including myself, are trying to figure that out. There's a holding place for hell, and then there's actual hell for when the judgment comes, which is interesting. I returned and saw under the sun that the race is not to the swift, nor the battle to the strong, neither yet bread to the wise, nor yet riches to men of understanding, nor yet favor to men of skill, but time and a chance happen to them all. How, for those of you who watch UFC, how many times has the short dude won? I find it pretty interesting. Every time I watch a UFC, I'm like, the short dude's gonna win. And like, I would say about 90% of the time, it always happens. It's so weird. So you would say that, the tall guy is gonna win, and then the short man wins. But Solomon is saying, but time and chance happen to them all. You could be at the right place, right time. You could have more strength that one day than you've had in your whole life. Who knows? For man also doesn't know his time, as the fish that are taken in an evil net, and as the birds that are caught in the snare. Even so are the sons of men snared in the evil of time, when it falls suddenly on them. People think, I'm getting older, this sucks. And God actually put time on us as a gift, the gift of death. If we ate from the tree and all of a sudden we are a sinful nature, and we ate of the tree of the tree of life, which was good to give us eternal life, then we would be in the sinful state forever, which is not a good thing. I do not want to live like this forever. I can tell you that. So he gave us time. What does time do? It's a gift. It's a gift that one day we will die. And that is a good thing, because we do not want to be in this sinful state the rest of our lives, because that is just torture. When we die, we believe in Jesus, we will get a new body, a new earth. He will put us back on this earth, and we will be radically changed, and no more sin and death. Verse 13, I've also seen wisdom under the sun in this way, and it seemed great to me that there is a little city, a few men within it, and a great king came against it, besieged it, and built great bulwarks against it. Now, a poor wise man was found in it, and he by his wisdom delivered the city. Yet no man remembered that same poor man. Then I said, wisdom is better than strength. Nevertheless, the poor man's wisdom is despised, and his words are not heard. The words of the wise heard in quiet are better than the cry of him who rules among fools. Now, it's not clear here whether the man saved the city and no one remembered him, or that he said he could save the city and no one listened to him, and then now the city's destroyed. But he's saying, nevertheless, the poor man's wisdom is despised, and his words are not heard. No one remembers him. The words of the wise heard in quiet are better than the cry of him who rules among fools. Isn't that so true? And a lot of the times in Christianity we say, God whispers to you and Satan shouts. And you have to be able to distinguish the whispers, because that's where God reigns. Now, this is in your spirit. We don't verbally and audibly hear God. God says we live by the Spirit. This is what Paul keeps on trying to tell us. We live by the Spirit. We live by the Spirit. Fasting, prayer, we must do it in order to live in the Spirit. I know it's difficult. I love my food, but we must do it. Wisdom is better than weapons of war, but one sinner destroys much good. How true is that? Last thing we're going to do today, we're going to go to Proverbs, and then we'll be done. Proverbs 22, verses 17 and 19. Turn your ear and listen to the words of the wise. Apply your heart to my teaching. For it is a pleasant thing if you keep them within you, if all of them are ready on your lips. I teach you today, even you, so that your trust may be in Yahweh. As my son was growing up, I started to wonder, what am I going to teach him? And at that point, I did not believe in God or anything. I was like, what am I going to teach him? Am I going to teach him how to go out to bars and clubs and hit on girls and take them home? Absolutely not. I am not going to teach my son that. I'm going to be better. And I started thinking, then why am I doing it? This is so stupid. And so I made a dedication to start reading the Bible. I said, you know what? I'm going to read this. I'm going to start Romans. And if it doesn't change my life, I'm going to put it down and never look at it again. That's it. I've had it. And I'm going to teach him morality, but, it's not going to be biblically based. I started reading slowly. And as I read slowly, it started to prick my heart about what God was doing. And then my son passed away. Passed away. And in that time, I feel like I would have been a mess. But because I have been reading, I was better off for it. And ever since then, I've dedicated this channel called Little Warrior Church, because my son's name was Logan, and his name meant Little Warrior. So this is in dedication to my son who passed away. And if you read the Bible slowly, I guarantee you're going to understand it more, because a lot of the teachings that we have in this world are generalizations which don't make sense in the long run. You must understand this and have wisdom, just as Solomon did. But don't rely on your own wisdom, because that was Solomon's downfall. Rely on the wisdom that God gives you. That is difficult to understand, and I understand that. Keep reading, though, and you will understand. It's one thing to go out this world and say, well, I just rely on myself. If you read the Bible, you must not just rely on yourself. You must pray and ask God for wisdom, and he will give it to you. Let's go to Lord in prayer. Dear Lord, thank you for this day. Thank you for everything that you've given us. Help us understand what we're doing here on this earth, and that we don't run after riches, honor, and glory, because those men who have done that eventually have been forgotten. Only the select few who've done that, we still talk about today, but majority of them we've forgotten about. May we just focus on pleasing you and what you want us to do in this lifetime, because that's the only thing that matters. Help us and go through this day, and help us understand what you want us to do. In your name we pray. Amen. All right, guys, go out and tackle today. Do what you got to do. Love you guys. I'll see you tomorrow. See you later. Bye.